Hey, it's Dr. Burton here. I'm going to run through how to do a rollerball, or sometimes called marble run, tutorial using Unreal Engine 5 early release or early access version 2. If you've seen other tutorials out, if it's pre-Unreal 4.26, it probably doesn't work with the newer versions because of some major changes that occurred with the Unreal Engine beginning with 4.26. So here's a quick tutorial how to do a rollerball. Rollerball, the move the ball around thing that we've all played with as kids, or maybe you haven't, you've only played with it on your mobile phone, but here's how to do that. So to get started, I'm using Unreal 5 Early Access version 2. I love it. It's great. It's a great tool. If you don't have that already, you will need to install the early access tool for UE5 to be able to get that, and then it'll be in your library and you can then launch Unreal version 5. Of course, they're expecting the full Unreal 5 to be out early 2022. Hopefully, if you're viewing this in the future, hopefully that has occurred. So we're launching that. I'll pause it here while that launches. Okay, once your Unreal project browser launches, we're going to go to Games. We're going to start with a blank project. I'm going to use Blueprint. My target platform is for a desktop. This will run fine on Mac as well. And I do want to include the starter content. We're going to find our textures and a few objects that are going to be very useful. Let's go ahead and name our project. As I said, I'm calling it Rollerball. No spaces allowed in this, and then do a create. Now, if this is the first time that you're running Unreal Engine 5, you may have to deal with a few things updating or shaders compiling, things like that. Fortunately, that's a one-time deal. After those are compiled, you're ready to go. So I've got the basic starter content up here. I'm not going to use that. Instead, I'm going to create a new level and go with the default level. That works perfect. Go ahead and update my file. There we go. And we're set to go. So I've got a basic platform here. I'm going to go ahead and use that as my platform for the game environment. That should work perfectly for everything that we're going to do with this project. So I'm going to go ahead and use this automatically there from your thing, or from your when you create the new level. If you want to go ahead and edit your project settings, if you're going to be doing this over a period of time, you could go to project settings and set your maps and modes so that is what is selected. Oops, I haven't named it yet. We should name it first. Go to File, save the current level, and as I said, I'm going to save this as Rollerball, or let's just call it Level 1. That way, if we make multiple levels for our game, it makes sense. It's easy to keep track of. So once I've got the level saved, I can go to Edit, go to Project Settings, to my maps and modes, and then if I want the editor startup map, what do I want to start up? I can tell it start up in level 1. I'll go ahead and set that for the default game map as well, that it'll automatically, when the project is compiled and built, it'll go ahead and start with level 1. So that's already configured. There'll be a few other project settings that we need to change towards the end of this, but for now, that'll take care of everything that we need to do. So we've got our level ready. The next thing that we need to do is go to Blueprints, and we're going to open the level blueprint. And yeah, I'm doing full blueprints on this. We're not going to do any C++. It'll be all blueprints, which makes it really quick. Once you get used to the visual tools, the node-based programming, and you've got a little bit of programming experience, I find that it goes actually a lot faster, and that's speaking with 30 years of programming experience. So yeah, I've been doing this a long time. Wow. Okay, there we go. Let's go ahead and dock this up here beside my level. So I've got my level and my blueprint that I can easily go back and forth between the two of them. Good. All right, so by default, you get two tools available to you when you start a new blueprint. One is for the event begin play. The other is the EventTick. Event play is obviously when the level starts playing. EventTick is every frame of the game. So we're not going to actually use either one of these. So I'm going to just highlight them and hit the delete key, and they're now gone. So that's all done with. Let's go ahead and get some keyboard set up for our environment. So what I want to happen is that when I hit the A or D key, the platform here will roll to the left or to the right. If I hit W or S, it's going to pitch forward or back. And we'll probably want to adjust our view character here. Oops, that was the floor. Don't do that. I want to adjust my player start so that it's over here and can look down on the environment. And then if you hit the E key, that gives you rotation, and so that it can be looking down on it. So now if I hit play, I'm looking down on the environment. So the idea is that if I hit the WASD, I can control the roll and pitch of the platform here. So that'll make life a lot easier. Stop my play here, go back here to Blueprint, and let's right click. And what I want to do is capture those keys. So I'm going to do a keyboard input. So I'll just start with typing keyboard. And if you do keyboard events, it'll eventually bring up input, keyboard events. And let's do the W key first. There's W. So I've got my W key, and what I want to happen is when I hit the W key, it'll roll the environment. Now to make that happen, I need to jump back here to my level, and with the floor selected underneath the transform, currently the mobility of the level is static, which means it's the ground. We want it to be movable so that as the player hits the keys, the environment can move. We don't need gravity on the floor. We do want to lock the position of X, Y, and Z so that this isn't rotating around and moving. That would be a pain inside the environment. So we've got the floor. We've got the floor set to movable. Once it's set to movable, if we jump back here to blueprints, we can create a reference to the floor, but we don't really need to, because if we right click now and we say add actor world rotation, it gives us that floor reference. Isn't that cool? So now if I do a press, the target is the floor. So if I press the W, it's going to add the rotation to W. And then let's tell it that we want to move based upon the W key. We're going to move the Y, which is pitch, to 5. So back here on level 1, we can hit play, and gravity's enabled on my ground. So let's turn off gravity and hit play, and make sure you click inside the environment so that it'll be receiving your key presses. That's backwards of what I wanted to happen. Yeah, I guess that needs to be -5. So let's close that and go back here to level and change this to -5. There we go. And save. Go back here to level, play, and click inside the environment. And there, the W key does it the direction it does. Now, if I hit the S key or A key or D key, you can see that my player start control is moving around inside the environment still, but except for W, I cannot move forward. If I hit W, it does move the platform. That's because in our tools here, my W key is capturing all of the input for the key W, and that's this consume input checkbox here on the details panel. So very useful to know. Okay, so let's go ahead and get the S key set so that we can move it back the other direction. I'm going to select the 2, copy it, click down here and paste it, and then we'll just change from the W key to the S key. In my details panel, I can just go down here to keyboard and go from W to S. So scroll down here to the S, and now let's drag these over so it's nice and pretty. And again, we're using the same floor for our target, so we can just drag that over. And now, save. When I hit play, if I hit the, click inside the environment, hit the S key, and oops, look at what I did wrong there. Go back here to level, take the negative off the 5. There we go. Save, back here to level, play, and now S rotates it towards us, W rotates it away from us. Now we're going to set the same thing or similar up for A and D. So I'm going to copy this entire structure here, just dragging over it, do a copy, paste, change my W key to the D key instead of a Y value of -5, we're going to set an X value of -5, and my A key, and again, make this 5, 0, and there we go. Back here to the level and play test it, the best part. I've got that backwards. A and D are going backwards from each other. So hit escape, go back here to the level and make this -5 for A and +5 for D. Isn't that easy to change? I mean, look at that. We've got a great start to our project already. Okay, so now we've got our movement set for keyboard control, which does some really cool stuff. Let's go back. Let's go ahead and set up to also control it with the mouse, because the mouse control is kind of cool to be able to do. A mouse, and if it automatically jumps to mouse values. I don't really want mouse values. Actually, I want input mouse. So I want mouse X, and we'll do the same thing for mouse Y, and not mouse values. We want input of mouse Y. So now when I move my mouse forward and backwards or to the side, X and Y, I'll be able to create a similar type of movement inside the system. Let's capture this again. I'm just going to select my add world rotation and copy that and paste it. There we go. And we're going to expand the delta rotation here. If you right-click on the delta rotation of your Add Actor Rotation, you can do a split structure pin, which gives you independent pins for X, Y, and Z. This makes it a little bit faster and easier for getting things set up. Again, we will need our floor, so I'm going to copy that and paste it. Here's my floor. That is, of course, our target. And there we go. The mouse X is, if the mouse moves, that's going to make the world move. Same with the Y. Those are both going to change the actor world rotation. Then my mouse X, if my mouse X moves, that's going to affect the roll. And if the Y moves, that's going to affect the pitch. There we go. I'll zoom in on that a little bit so you can see it a little more clearly. So that sets up our system here. Now we're going to want to make one more change to this, or a couple more changes to this, but this will give you a basic view of why we're doing these things. So let's jump back here to our level and do a play. And now if I click inside the environment, I move my mouse, and that looks pretty good, except, you know, some people for pitch and roll, when we're doing the pitch back and forth, if they move, they don't want it to move, they want it to move the opposite direction than what it's currently doing. So if you're not happy with that, it depends on whether you've flown a plane or not on what you expect to happen inside that environment. But the easy way to reverse this is to change your Y so it does a negative value of the X, or it multiplies the X, the Y value, axis value, by a negative value, or a -1. So we can do that real easy in 5.0. Just hit multiply, and we're going to drive our value to there, and we want this to multiply by -1.0. There we go, and now we'll drag that up here to our delta. So now it's multiplying any mouse Y movement by -1, so it's going to reverse the pitch and roll for the system. So back here to level 1 and play, click inside the environment, and now this will change. Now we do have a problem that if you move this around a little bit, you can see that we've got some roll happening here, that the entire board is basically rotating as we move it, and that's a bad thing to have happen. Fortunately, that's easily corrected if you now go into your physics constraints underneath the world outliner, and then your detail tab for the environment. If you want to lock rotation on the Z axis, and it doesn't hurt to lock the position on X, Y, and Z either. Make sure your gravity is off because we don't need it to fall. Now when you hit play, click inside your environment. It doesn't matter how many times you do that. Whoa, what's happening there? Actually, that's a real bad thing. And we can correct that fairly easily inside of our program. I think we launched it into space there. It's definitely got a twist going on there. But we can change that by putting a clamp on the floor so it doesn't do this spinning thing, and we can limit its rotation. So I guess that's the next thing that we need to do, because that looked really bad. So let's go ahead and change our our mouse interaction inside the game environment. I'm going to just push that up a little bit. Eventually, we're probably going to need to get rid of all this. Matter of fact, I can guarantee you we're going to need to get rid of all of that. Okay. So let's fix that problem with it spinning into space there. So let's break our mouse X and mouse Y interaction, and we're going to just simply break all pins. Now this is inactive. We could delete it without any problem. Of course, you can always delete it without any problem. So I'm going to pull my floor down here for my persistent floor and just get down here in a new area of my event graph. And the first thing we're going to want to do on this is get the floor's current rotation. So to get that information, we need to get actor rotation. There we go. And hey, it already pulled up the floor. Isn't that nice of it? I love how intelligent UE5 is. Let's throw back in our mouse control. This time we are going to use the get mouse X, and we're going to want get mouse Y. There we go. So we got get mouse X, get mouse Y. We need to break the rotation that's happening, or make it stop rotating, stop spinning. So we're going to tell it break rotator. There we go. There's our break rotator. And we're going to tell it to, so we want it to stop the rotation, or break the rotator, and we want to get the current XY pitch for our environment. And then we're going to add the mouse X location and the mouse Y location to get our spin or our rotation set, and then we can add our clamp to it. The next thing that we need to do is add these together. So I need the current rotation of the floor added to the mouse's current rotation. So we'll right click in there. We're just going to do add. So just a simple operator type situation here. Add these two together. There we go. We're going to want to do the multiply again. So I'm just going to duplicate this from up here because we still need to apply the -1 for our Y mouse movement. We need to add, just like up above, the pitch and the mouse. There we go. Believe it or not, we're almost half done in creating our app in our little rollerball. So this is moving right along. Okay, so the next thing that we need to do, we want to clamp the rotation of the mouse movement. So to do that, guess what tool we're going to use? That's right, clamp. You got to love it when they make this easy. And we want clamp rotator, clamp float, sorry. We want clamp float, and we're going to need 2 of these. One for the X of the mouse, and I'll copy this. Control-C, Control-V, that's all we need to do. There we go. Now we've got clamp on the rotation. Now how much do you want to clamp this? I'm going to go with -35 to +35 on both the X and the Y. Of course, we can adjust these all day long to whatever we actually what we prefer for gameplay. You do want to test each of these values to make sure that it's giving you the response that you want for your game. So we've got our clamp going on there, and then we're going to apply this to the rotation of the environment. To do that, we're going to use another tool, another node. This one's called MakeRotator. There we go. And looky there, you got one for the X, one for the Y, and because we leave Z or yaw empty or 0, it should not rotate back and forth on the Z axis. So it should keep it straight. Plus we also clamped it in the details tool on the level design. So that should take care of it. So the last thing that we need to do is apply the actor's rotation. So let's set actor rotation. And of course the target is the floor. You could drag that over from where we have the floor here, or you can just have a different one. It's still the same floor, so it doesn't make any difference. Give it our new values. There we go. And we do need it to launch this. So, you got to tell something to give it a tool to tell it to do the rotation or do this function. We want this to fire or check potentially every single frame. So we're going to do this on an EventTick. So we can right click, do an EventTick. Now we have this happening every single frame inside the game. On my system currently, when I launch this, it's running somewhere around 60 frames per second, which isn't too bad. Let's test this. Now, as I said, we broke this, the execute tool on this, so this is no longer here. I don't like to get rid of anything until I'm sure something works, and it's not hurting for that to be there right now. So we'll save, go back here to our level, hit play, click inside the environment, and now you can see this is limited into how far it can rotate. You may want to change your the actor or the player start point. This is now limited in how far it can rotate, which is exactly what we were shooting for. You might want to adjust your percentage or your how much your clamp is a little bit more. Again, you just simply go in here to your clamp float for your X and Y value. So we can get rid of this now. We don't use that at all. we can drag all of this up. And if you'd like to keep track of this, the easy way to do this is when you've got them all selected, hit the C key and it makes a comment or puts a comment area around this saying what this code does. And so this is handling our mouse movement. And if you select that, you can change your code color. You want to make it a different shade to something meaningful to you for your coding. That's easy to do. We can go up here and do this for our key press as well. Select it all, hit the C key, and this is key press movement. There we go. So now we can easily tell what that section of code was for. Always comment your code. We can save this. Next thing that we need to do is get some walls in our environment. So to do that, I'm going to use the Create toolbar. If you don't have that already open, you can go to Create and Place Actors Panel. That'll open the panel. You can move it anywhere in the environment you want it to be. I'm going to go to the Shapes tab and then just simply use Cube. So I'm going to drag a cube on here, and as you can see, it's there in the environment. We'll move it onto the ground here. There we go. And make sure the cube looks good. We want it to be on the floor. There we go. Let's do a little work with this cube. So I want to make it a little thinner for my wall, so it's not using up too much space. Do note that it is using the snap to, so you can control your scaling, how thick you want it to be very easily that way. I'll drag it over here to the edge. It's best if you start your object in the environment right in the middle, since when you do your scaling, it will go both directions. And we'll scale it out here. There we go. And move it to the middle here. Let's get some materials on that and our floor. It's kind of boring right now. If you go to the content drawer in the bottom, click on that. Go to your starter content. This is one of the main reasons I told you to add or include starter content when we created the project. If you go to materials, you'll get a nice selection of different materials that can be used inside of the environment. For the wall, what shall we use? And we also need to do something more interesting for the floor. I'm going to go with the Tech Hex tile for my floor. Just drag it on there. And then let's get something good for our walls. What shall we have? Maybe some wood? That looks pretty nice. We're going to have wood. I like the wood. More of a classic feel to it. That's good. Okay, so I'm going to my wall here. Now that we've got a wall in here, if I play right now, the wall's not actually attached to the floor, so that's a bad thing. To attach the wall to the floor, right click on the wall with the wall selected, and then you just simply say attach, and then we need to attach it to the floor. Oh, I need to turn the wall into, oh, and we've got to make sure that simulate physics is turned off. If simulate physics is turned on, it's affected by the movement. So make sure that simulate physics is turned off, and that'll take care of the wall jumping all over the place. So now it is welded or attached to my floor environment. So we're ready to go forward with that. All right, so we got the first wall on there. Let's duplicate that, which is Control W, and then we'll move it over here to the other side. Now the nice thing is, as we do this, it keeps our texture and goes ahead and welds or attaches the new wall where we want it to go. So it's now already attached to the floor. So all the settings are good. Hit play. You've now got two. You're half done with the boundaries on your environment. So again, I'm going to Control W, and bring this into the middle. And this time for this new cube, I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees and then move it to my new position. There we go, that's looking good. And Control W again and move it to the other side. And now we've got a nice little box environment. Toy with that a little bit, get it exactly how you want it. Let's go ahead and get some internal walls. Now, normally the idea of course, any rollerball or marble run or something like that is we've got a start location for an object, and then at the conclusion, we've got where we're trying to get to. So let's go ahead and let's go ahead and put a ball in here. So I'm going to get a sphere and drop that in, and I'm going to start to get a material on that sphere, don't we? Down here to my content, and we need something shiny. Maybe a metal gold. There we go. Yeah. Play. And helps if you give the ball some physics. So definitely need to simulate physics there and enable gravity on it. Play. There we go. Oh, we got some problems there. We're going to have to work with that. We'll come back and get that in just a second. So right now the ball's too heavy for the environment. It's going to cause it to go. But before we change that, let's go ahead and get some more walls in. So I'm going to just simply select one of my walls here, Control W again, pull it in a little bit. Now that I've got the ball in there, I know approximately what the sizing is, and we can scale this and move it into place. And I'm going to go ahead and speed up the video now while I just move everything into place like I want for my environment. Of course, you can make your own environment any way you want it to look, so that you're happy with what your rollerball is going to be doing inside the game. Okay, now that we've got our walls done, let's go ahead and take care of the problem of when the ball drops, it's too much weight for the environment. So select your floor and let's scroll down to physics. The problem is that we need to increase the angular dampening so that when the ball hits it, it doesn't have an impact. A value of around 25 should do it. You can go higher if you need to, but 25 seems to handle it. And there you can see the ball no longer, when it falls, causes the game environment to fall. There we go, and our ball's rolling around in the environment. So we got a basic environment set now. We got everything going. So now we need to be able to register when the ball gets to our goal location, when we've been successful in playing the game. To do that, we just simply need to add a sphere trigger to where our goal location is. So right there in your place actors, if you've closed that, just simply hit create again and place your actors panel, or just simply select the sphere trigger. Drag that into the environment. I want it to be right there. I'm going to make it a little larger so that we have a good hit on that, and that should do it. Now we do need to do a little programming so that happens, and we should probably place something in the game so that the player knows that this is where they need to go, because if we hit play right now, you can see the sphere trigger. You really can't see it inside the environment at all, so that doesn't help your player be able to move around. Also, if you're not happy with how your lighting's looking, you can always do a build lighting only, and that'll go through real quick. Should be fairly quick to set up the lighting in your environment so that you get good shadows and movement, and everything's ready to go from that. And as you can see, that was pretty quick, assuming that you have gone ahead and you've got everything ready to go inside your environment. Of course, if you're not happy with how the lighting looks, you can select the lighting and adjust it. What's the angle of the light, things like that. I would like to rotate that lighting a little bit so it's more up and down. As you can see, that changes my shadows pretty quick. You can of course adjust. There, we got a little less shadow now inside the environment. And that's entirely up to you how you'd like that to look, and you may need to rebuild the lighting again after you adjust the angle of the lighting so it can bake everything in. Next thing we need to do then, as I said, was make the goal apparent as to what we're shooting for. So I'm going to jump over here to the shapes in the place of actors, and I'm going to drag a plane onto my environment here, and let's attach something to that so that it stands out. Maybe burnished steel onto that. Well, that kind of clashes. Maybe if I change the floor back to a wood so it matches there. Maybe that stands out a little bit more. Once I get that in there, that should look a lot better on my plane, which is our goal location. Probably need to adjust how detailed that's going on the scaling. So it looks a little funky now, but I think once we launch the game, it'll be fine. Okay, so we got a plane there so that we know what the goal is. Sphere selected. I need to go down to on the ball, and we can rename that if you're not happy with the name of sphere. You can go with ball or something like that. I'm going to go ahead and leave it there as sphere right now. So we do need to handle generate overlaps. So make sure that you could have generate overlaps for the sphere underneath collision so that we can register when it hits this sensor that we put in place. So our trigger sphere is going to be important here in a few minutes. We're going to select the trigger sphere because that's what we need to write our code for, is when the ball collides with the trigger sphere. So the ball now has generate overlap turned on. By default, generate overlap is on for the trigger sphere, which is right here. So again, jump over here to your blueprint, and let's right click in the environment. We're going to add an event for trigger sphere 1, collision, add on actor begin overlap. Of course, you've got three options here: add on actor hit, on end overlap, so when it's leaving the area, and when it's beginning. I'm going to go with the begin. So begin overlap for this, and we need to tell the player how long it took them to successfully complete it. So this is more of a seconds type game. So let's drag this out here, and we need to do a print string telling them how long it took them to get there. So print string, good. Now, of course, we need to tell how long it took in seconds. So it would be good to have that information. Fortunately, that's all built in. So I'm going to click here, get game time in seconds. Look at that, returning my time in seconds. We want, now if I were to run it right now, well, I'll show you what, if we run it right now, it will automatically, as you can see, put in a conversion here to take the time, which is in a float, and convert it into a string. That's what this is doing, convert float value to string. And now we can show that inside the game environment. That works pretty good. Well, let's show what that looks like. So jump back here to my level, and we'll hit play. We'll move the ball over to the plane. And as you can see, I messed up the plane that I put on there. I should have attached that to the floor. So we'll finish this, and then we'll attach it to the floor. And I didn't attach the sphere trigger to the floor either. Two minor little mistakes. So let's get back here with the trigger sphere. attach to floor. And if you're having hard time clicking on it, just select it from the environment or from your world outliner. And then we need to do the same with the plane that we added. Right click, attach to. Oh, I need to make it movable. All objects have to be movable that are going to be attached. Scroll up here, change that to movable. And now right click plane, attach to floor. There we go. And the trigger sphere was already set to movable, so we're good there. Try that again. Always good to know we've made a mistake and correct for it real quick. Go, and nothing happened. So let's figure out what went wrong. Why didn't it do that? We've got several problems fixed. We still need to get the text showing up. Okay, so let's do some testing to figure out what's going on. Since my time didn't show up the first time I did it, I'm going to move the ball a little closer to the exit so that I can do my testing a little faster. There we go. And with the sphere selected, if you go to collision, it looks like I only hit one of the overlap options for begin end. We also need to make sure that we've got generate overlap events. So turning that on, play, and pull it down. And there you can see we got a time. So good. Print. I'll do that one more time. It may have it a little too close. It's generating it pretty quick. Okay, but it does show the time. Great. So our blueprint is looking good. Now we can tweak this a little bit so that it's, as you could see in our time there, it was getting way down into the weeds on how many milliseconds it took to do it, as well as just the seconds. And we need the toText. I want toText float. There we go. So down here, if you scroll down with toText, go to text and then toText float. Yeah, that's the one I want. And we can specify then how many fractional digits it's going to show, what the maximum is. Currently that's set at 3. I'm going to change that to 1. And then we just simply drag this to our value. I'm going to delete that. There. We just need our toText and then toString. That'll take care of our conversion of the string text automatically. Back to the level. And I'll adjust this a little bit so it doesn't hit that right off the bat. Play. And there, 3.4 seconds to get to the conclusion. And it's continuing to do that. Let's tweak that just a little bit for our gameplay. I'm not 100% happy with that. So let's add a few more features to this. I would like for it, first of all, afterwards, to have a delay. After it does that, let's make the delay 5 seconds. Here we go. And after that delay is completed, what do we want it to do? Well, maybe go to the next level or restart the level. Since I only have one level here right now, let's go with a restart, though this would work just as well for going to the next level for multiple games. So I'm going to, when it completes, I want it to go to a new level. And we can use the open level by name. And of course we named ours this very simple name, level 1. So level 1, and that will tell it to restart the level after 5 seconds. Okay, we'll compile, go here to level 1, play again, move over here to our finish, wait for 5 seconds, and it resets it to the location. So great. Everything is working the way that we want it to work. I'm going to move my ball back here to this original start position. We could go ahead and comment this section, which is a good idea. There we go. And this is time and go to next level or restart level, depending on how you want to do that. Okay, good. We'll save or compile, go back here to our level. Now we're getting real close here. We do need to, we're actually ready to publish the game. We've got a basic running game here. So let's go to edit and our project settings. As I said at the very beginning of this, we were going to need to make a few minor changes. Let's jump down here to the description. As you can see, we've got the description. You can add your own description here. What's the project name? I'm going to call mine Rollerball. There we go. You can set the version number, your company name, etc., all your legal stuff, and what's your project thumbnail for how this is going to look. Easy drag in. If you've got a great splash screen or thumbnail that your artists have created, then you're ready to go. Make sure your maps and modes are set. Your default map, we set that at the very beginning to make sure that it's set to level 1. So we're set to go with that. Oh, one last thing that we probably need to do. If somebody wants to actually leave the game or quit the game, it'd be nice if they could do that. So let's go up here, and I'm going to grab this key press for W, and I want to copy that, and I'm going to drag back down here and Control V to paste that in. I want to set it so that if the player hits the escape key, it quits the program. So if that's pressed, they can quit. And we'll drag that over and type in quit game. There we go. And again, we should comment just for clarity so that we can find that nice and easy. Okay, good. Now, when the player hits the escape key, the game will end and they'll be set and ready to go to the next. We're ready to compile. Let's make this into a game. This will take a little bit of time on your system, so feel free to get the process started and then pause the video for when you're doing. If you noticed, when we were doing this, the print string will only work in development only. So when you are doing your compile, and we've got all kinds of things we can compile to. Right now, the only thing I've got set up on this system, because it's a new install with the Unreal Engine 5 early access, I can only do this for Windows. We need to make sure that we select development so that our print string will work. We'll have to do something else if we actually want to ship this. So we're ready to package the project, which is fantastic. Click Package Project. That'll bring up where you want to save this to. I'm going to, for convenience, put this on my desktop, and I think I've already created a file called Rollerball. Yes, I have. And I'll select that folder, and as you can see, it is now packaging the project for Windows. This will take a little bit of time. It's got a lot of work to do to get this ready, so I'm going to pause the video while it does this. This could take 4 or 5 minutes to do all the compiling. Okay, our compiling is finished. I've got this in my folder now, and as you can see, we've got Rollerball, the executable. So we can double click on that, and there it is. I've got it running in the environment. Hit escape key, and it leaves. So this is now an executable Windows program. Of course, if you've got a Mac, you can do the same thing for a Mac. If you're interested in seeing how to make this into an Android app or a iOS app, tell me in the comments below. What would you like to see next? My plan is to move into virtual production, which is using the Unreal Engine to create film type environments. This became very popular with things like The Mandalorian and other television shows like that. I'm also doing a lot of stuff with multiplayer. So if you want to see any of these things from the Unreal Engine and some quick tutorials like this one, please let me know. I also plan to record this demonstration from when I teach it at the college level in a class. So if you'd like to see that recording with the students' questions included, please let me know in the comments below. Make sure you give me a thumbs up or a like to tell me how much you appreciated this. Thanks.